Title of this video is Free Trade Agreements, India and rest of world. Free trade agreements are not new. Basically what they mean is that the agreement done between the two countries, goods and services can flow freely between them. It means without duties and tariffs, but that hardly happens. Sometimes they are compared with MFA agreements also, most favored nations, MFN rather. We have an MFN agreement with Bhutan which works very well, but then that's a special situation. These FTAs also work under the broad guidance umbrella of WTO, that is World Trade Organization, and it came after Second World War because one of the reasons of countries going apart, going at a distance, is when there are too many tariffs, etc. And economic theory proves that when the trade does not move freely, the goods become expensive for everybody, and what is produced well at one place cheaper. For example, if oil is available cheaper to extract in Siberia, why go and do it in a third place and then trade it? And if somebody is making semiconductor chips cheaply in Taiwan, why then again go and build it somewhere else? But people don't see it that way, and the other side of the story becomes protectionism, that we will produce everything ourselves. And it is proven that in today's world that is not possible. In modern goods, in high technology goods, there are too many things which get produced, small one, different places, and then they get assembled at third place and then marketed at fourth and fifth or even globally. For example, I-20 will be the example. Foxconn doing it for them, Foxconn is doing for somebody else. They might be doing it in Taiwan, they might be doing it in Korea, they might be doing it in Japan, they might be doing it in USA, they might be doing it, now planning to do it in India, and so at least some parts of the things get assembled at one particular place. However, if free trade flow is not there and duties get imposed for them to bring the parts here, Foxconn will be a good example, then that product will not be very viable, it won't be very competitive, won't be able to produce it in those large quantities, and therefore the cost of production will not come down, and therefore the product will not sell, therefore somebody will not put up that factory. So this is the basic idea. Reason for this tape is a recent lecture given by Minister of Commerce, Mr. Piyush Goyal, where he criticized Kia and Hyundai for taking away a lot of money from India and not doing something in return. Now, and he gave other examples to which will come. And he said that the free trade agreement between Korea and India has been misutilized. Now, the job of the companies is to come and do manufacture their product well, produce it cheaply, and then sell it. Now, if it is selling it vis-a-vis something else, you can't complain, can you? Should you complain about it? And what should they do? They should not sell beyond a particular volume, then the free trade idea is not there, because then their production may not be viable. So they will plan for their production, they will try to do their best job. Yes, sometimes restrictions are put in terms of the percentage of production to be bought from India, though that's not part of the classic true free trade agreement. If it is worthwhile, they do it. If it is not worthwhile, they will not do it. If it is worthwhile for Foxconn to come and procure certain parts here, if they are of the quality and the price, then it is all right. Otherwise, why would they do it? But the trend is there throughout the world. We will just briefly at the end also look at what's happening to the FTAs between India and UK, not yet finalized, between UK and Australia, not yet finalized, um, between India and EU, not yet finalized, between India and USA, not yet finalized, because there is some hesitation there. Okay, Mr. Goyal also gave the example that we produce steel, Japan needs steel, Korea needs steel, but even if they have to pay 100 rupees per ton more, they buy it from the local party. Now, can we really complain about it? If they buy from the local party, because they must be seeing some advantage. Otherwise, why should they pay $100 more? And that advantage might be the supply chain reliability, supply chain credibility. So it is, we have to prove that our supply chain credibility will be there, that when you want the product you get it, of the quality you will get it, and then the price is this. Well, on the other hand, they may even pay 100 rupees more if the supply chain safety is there, right? Okay. Um, so, um, therefore, to some extent, India has not been very successful in developing free trade agreements. They have not been able to utilize, they have still that old mentality of protectionism, that per force you must buy 10%, 20%, 30% from India. Now, if by chance Hyundai does not find the components of their liking, then why would they spoil the car? Why would they buy it? If it is like Maruti does, Maruti developed large number of subcontractors, right? And does not buy those components from Japan at all, at all. And they are better quality, they're equal quality, they're cheaper, everything. And in fact, if Maruti or rather Suzuki goes and assembles somewhere else in the world, they take parts from Gurgaon. Uh, so, going further, there are there are the free trade agreements is known. It is a development. For example, ASEAN has now a free trade agreement among themselves. See, therefore, what happens is that that is an advantage to each other. Similarly, European countries, EU, which means a country like India getting there is at a disadvantage if you are not part of that agreement, and you are not. So the groupings are getting formed, and India has to be a little aggressive. It can't keep on saying Atmanirbhar, Atmanirbhar. Atmanirbhar is yes, but Atmanirbhar, in the end, when it comes, you go and buy planes from outside. When it comes to night goggles for the army people, you go and buy from outside. Though DRDO has developed it for X number of years and so on. So you can't say that the night goggles, if you have to night vision goggles you have to buy, you must be Indian. Well, they will be Indian if they are good quality. Recently, there was a meeting between Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, and the Indian Prime Minister about the free trade agreement. Now, they have the other issues. See, we can start with India itself. When I have free trade agreement, my component manufacturers can say that we will get killed. That the outsider can come and beat us up. How? Outsider may have larger quantity of manufacturing, but outsider has to take care of so many additional expenses of shipping, of logistics, of financing, of political risks, and then comes and delivers at your door, and if it is still cheaper, then proper way of looking at it is then that company's product should be bought. You're sitting here next door. You can't supply in time. You can't supply of that quality or quantity or price. So what protection do you want? And this protection normally is what? In the form of tariff. Now, putting tariff in a free trade agreement environment is a no-no actually. That cannot be the way that your product I will take your tax it to 20% or 40%. This is what Mr. Goyal has now said to Kia and Hyundai, that I'll put tariff on you. So what will happen? Tariff. If consumers still want to buy that product, they will end up paying more. So tax is being paid by the customer. And going back to the theory, uh, the most efficient, the most effective one is not the one which is succeeding. Because this long list of tariffs and all that and trying to recover money from the government system and all that becomes part of the business itself. And more time and headache goes there. Right? Okay? Um India was maybe justified in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, uh, when the industry was relatively new. Okay? Not anymore. Today, auto components industry, can we say it's new? That time the argument used to be, it was called the infant industry argument, that the industry is infant. And I was popular or not so popular for saying it always, infant is till what age? 2, 3, 4, 5 years? चलो आप कह दो not yet adult, 18, 18 years, चलो 21 years. After 40 years or 50 years or 60 years also that the industry is infant. If it is infant after 60 years, तो develop होगा ही ना. So there has to be some sense. You can't say I will support the Indian industry by putting a tariff on the other party, but sir, that tariff is a tax on me, consumer, not on him. Because he still will be able to sell it if it is good. I will not buy I-20 if it is 10 rupees more, 1000 rupees more. If I can buy, I will buy. So by you are putting tariff on those components, so that Foxconn can't. On the other hand, you are requesting Foxconn, please come, please come, please come, please come. Every state is saying, please come, please come, please come, please come. And when they come, you say, no, you must buy the components, you must buy the parts from India. So our free trade agreements, therefore, are pending, which is hurting our business. And meanwhile, what is happening is, you may say some things against Chinese, justified, not justified. In my view, most of it is not justified. And in the end, 3/4 of the things we are using now, consumer products, are Chinese. You might say don't buy Chinese products because there is a problem at the border. The chef goes and still goes and gets the container food. So you have to look at the real environment on the ground. A trader isn't going to bother about those things unless there is something of military importance, unless there is something which is hurting them. Saying that I will boycott Chinese goods, even USA, maximum number of goods they buy is from China. Maximum number. China is a leading partner for EU, a leading partner for Saudi Arabia, a leading partner for Japan now. And for us it is second or third. And for the ASEAN countries, mostly it is leading partner. Now, because they sell more, therefore they have more variety, therefore they can produce it more cheaply. If you want to fight with them, it's really that bad, then you have to fight on the border or fight in the marketplace. Fight in the marketplace. Produce the goods as they are producing, which are selling in the rest of the world. That is the competition you should have. That's the war you should have, if you want to. So, free trade agreement, therefore, on theory it looks good, but then when a minister who is in charge of it comes and says, I am going to put tax on it because they are selling very well. They are very bad guys. No, then it throws away the complete concept. The others don't want it. The purpose of the trade is what? The purpose of trade is to sell as much as you can and so on, of course, legally and so on. So, whenever we do these debates, the question comes that, policy on one hand and then the statements on the other send very confusing signals. It will come in Bloomberg or some major media and they say that India is not interested. क्या करना है इसके साथ? Let them be there with the tariffs and all that. They will not be in the end. They will come and buy $100 billion worth of planes. All these 60, 70 years of research will go waste, or they will keep on arguing with Foxconn, and then they will not implement the things which They're coming, they'll say I-20 is coming. I-20 is not coming. They're not putting up any factory. It's their subcontractor who's coming. Um, so we should watch what happens to these free trade agreements which are under negotiation in Australia, in UK. We should be able to figure it out. What is it that is holding them up? In my view, what is being held back is the advantage to the Indian industry. Indian industry has to come out of this infant industry argument. If they can't produce something as well as somebody else, they should change the line. And the only way they will be able to do is by increasing the volumes. The only way, therefore, is by going into markets of the others also, not just looking at Indian market. So we will pick up this topic as some of these agreements get finalized. कितना हो गया?